Let's start off with some fits that you set up here. Starting off with what we have here, the Executioner.
This guy, I set this one up to sit in a plex and let someone come into you for the most part, or this guy's fast enough that you can also go into a plex and chase down some ships that you are familiar with. And what you're going to want to do with this guy is you're going to want to kite the enemy at a decent range, usually around I'd probably say around 6,000 meters, and you've got that web and scramble to keep them from running away, and that afterburner to keep you away. The only thing with this guy is he's very, very light, though. Something that most of you guys won't think of when you're fitting, though, is instead of having any resistance on this, other than the damage control, I just have a big plate, which meant I had to dub out a lot of power, which is why I've got the 2 ancillary current routers. And instead of always using the biggest weapons, I went with a slightly smaller one, which in turn helps me as well because it lowers my optimal range down, so I can be a little bit closer to the enemy and not let them not have to be right on the edge of that scramble range all the time.
Alright, well, what was your general thinking with not trying to find something to fill that 4th slot for the highs?
For the highs? My general thought on that is if you don't need something, don't try to fit it in there. See what else you can do. Now, I could have fit something else up in that slot, but nothing really would have been all that useful to fill that extra 3rd slot as me having that big 400 plate, which adds a lot of buff to this little guy, and people don't expect it. They expect this thing to be light and fast and not have a lot of hit points. So I could have put a neutralizer or something, but then I would have been sacrificing that big plate or that heat sink for that extra bit of damage. And so I didn't see the point of limiting the rest of my ship so I had a neutralizer or a vampire or anything else that would really be useful in that high slot.
Now, on a general rating, what would you say this would be to its chances of most other fits that you might come across in PvP?
I'd say this one it's got a fairly low chance of being an all-around boat. It's more used for T1 frigate fights, one-on-one, when you're looking to fight small ships like another a courser, or some other small ship. It's not going to do anything up against, say, a Rifter or your Merlin or Kestrel, but it's got something the other one doesn't, which it's got speed. So if something shows up that you're not willing to fight, 99% of the time you're going to be able to get away with this guy. So it's more of a go out there, see what I can find, and if I find something I can kill, I can, but if I don't find anything, I'm not going out there with a big ship that's not going to be able to get away. I can still get back home in one piece.
Now, what was your thought process with the not going with the Tech 2 web?
The Tech 2 web takes a lot more CPU. And that X5 is, I believe it's metal level 3, if I remember correctly. Yeah, metal level 3. It takes the lowest amount of CPU. And if you look at the fit, it's fairly tight on CPU. It's not super tight. You could have bumped it up to something else. But the other thing with these X5s is they're super cheap. And for an extra 2% of velocity reduction, you literally can go out and pirate for about an hour and get 2 or 3 of these guys. So it lowers the overall cost of the ship. So when it goes down, because every ship in Eve goes down, it doesn't hurt your wallet nearly as much.
Now, what was your decision with the ammo type, the Scorch lasers?
And actually, I have multi-frequency in it. You can't see, but I have multi-frequency as the general all-around. I still haven't found the right mid-range one because I haven't played around with this fit enough to find the one I like. I'm in between X-ray and infrared at the moment. But you got your close range ammo, you've got your mid-range ammo, which you'll probably be using your close range for the most, or maybe your mid, depending on what type of target you're shooting at. But that Scorch, it just has such a big range that if somebody else has a micro warp drive and is keeping you from running away, and they're keeping at a disruptor range, you can still deal some damage. And most little ships that be able to keep up with this aren't going to be able to take much of a beating. So you might be able to either A, fend somebody far enough away, or snag a kill. I can't tell you how many times just having that Scorch, even though it's not something I use all the time, but switching over to that Scorch, you can snag that pod that's just out of your scramble range right before he jumps through a gate. Where with the standard crystals, you want to be able to. And with the crystals, they're take you, half a second to switch over? So as you're locking your target, you can switch over to the proper crystal for that proper range.
Now, how would you say they should use this ship if they're, for example, plexing and they're getting ready for somebody to land on top of them, or, in the next situation for them to attack somebody? How would you say that they should go about it with this?
With this guy, you're probably going to be in a plex, sitting on the beacon, and you see someone on your close range descent coming in, and you know you have a good opportunity to kill him. You say it's another small speed frigate, like a Thrasher. That's right, not a Thrasher. I'm drawing blanks on my ship names today. One moment. Like a Slasher. That's the one I'm looking for. A Slasher or an Atron. You see him coming in and you think you can take him. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, when they land, immediately burn away from them. Which sounds anti-intuitive, but if somebody's coming into a plex, they're coming to fight you. And in these little small ships, you're going to want to burn away because they're going to come after you. And in that time frame, especially if you're fighting an Atron or the Slasher, you're going to be able to get good hits on him before he gets in his weapon range. And at that point, you can also determine if he's going to be a close range fit, a medium range fit, or if you're going to be able to even actually take him. Since they've got a micro warp drive and they start to burn towards you, you immediately know what they have. And you're not fighting blind. Because while you're burning away, you could be aligned to something, and if they start coming too fast and you don't like your odds, you can ditch. Or if you feel like you can take them, you wait till they come in, and right as they cross that range into scramble range, you turn. So their ship is also turning and slows down as the web takes effect, and then you can start your orbit if you're planning on orbiting them, or manually piloting, which I would suggest, to finish them off. And then it's just a windowing process from there. And if you're going in to attack somebody, what you would usually do is, as you're landing, you'll see if he's trying to be up close or if he's trying to be far away. And the first thing you're going to want to do is, as you land, you're going to want to get your speed. So you're usually going to want to start flying the same direction that you're landing, says you're already got your momentum going that way. And turn on your afterburner, and then you turn into the enemy a split second later, so you've got some speed already. So when they hit you with their scramble, you've got some momentum, so you can keep going where you need to go.
All right, thank you for that.